You might be wondering, what in the world am I wearing on my back? Well, we at Lifestyle Magazine want to help our viewers reach their full fitness potential. And today we're thrilled to have with us Rephel Martin, an elite level athlete, coach, and inventor. Join us today as we take a look at Rephel's innovative device. Welcome to Lifestyle Magazine.
This is Lifestyle Magazine with your host, Roy Ice, and key experts, Mike Tucker, Dr. Charmaine Long, Lionel LaMountain, and Marie Mitchell.
We're very excited to have with us today Rephel Martin, and we're joined by our activity key specialist, Marie Mitchell. Rephel is the inventor of the Kinetic Link, a lightweight resistance harness that we have on our backs. Rephel, you got some explaining to do. You got me in a contraption today. What is this Kinetic Link?
The Kinetic Link is a device that really helps you with human movement, strengthening human movement. So right now you kind of feel your core engaged.
Yeah, absolutely.
So when most people look at a device, they think it's just a leg device because you see the bands connected to the legs.
Right.
But they miss the whole connection point between the shoulders, the bands, and which is now your core being activated.
Okay.
I could feel it.
So I feel a little bit like my dogs walking in the snow. Other than that, I do feel it doing things. What is it doing set up in this way?
So what it's doing is actually correcting your posture, resetting your hips,
Automatic.
and enforcing your core to be in the prime position for you to understand where your hips are in space. So as you move forward, you want to focus on lifting your legs up in the front, and that'll actually activate your hip flexors and adductors.
I feel it differently in different places. What are you feeling?
I feel it in my hip flexors.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, just by that movement there, most of us do, as far as athletes, work in a linear space. But just like you lift that left leg up again, and you turn that knee outside the hip, now that the angle changes, the force of the angle changes, the resistance changes.
Oh, yeah.
So if you go back the opposite way, then you get those other muscles to be a part of the whole process, while you're forcing the support leg to be more balanced.
And
Now, you mentioned resistance. I see these resistance bands. Talk to me about how you came up with these resistance bands.
Well, the unit comes with 4 levels of resistance. So she has 2 different ones. She has an orange and a black. The black is like the heaviest that we go. So the black band is accountable
I was hoping you were going to say the yellow.
The yellow is the lightest.
Oh, no, you didn't go there.
Since she's the fitness expert, I figured she had the muscles to do it.
You're
So
going
the
ahead.
black is 30, the orange is 20. So that's, if we had both black bands on each unit, that's 30 pounds of resistance just on your core.
wow.
So that
just on
multiplies and increases as you lift your leg. Now it gets to 35, 40. So with most units that kind of have the same function as far as resistance through the movement, they're tethered to a wall or you have a coach holding it. With this unit, you can move freely in space, you can change direction, you can be agile, and you don't have a platform holding you down.
So you're a track coach.
Yes.
How would it help me as a
Well,
track
actually,
athlete?
it helps with all athletes.
Really?
I've had soccer players, football players, swimmers, any sport that you can think about, either as rehab or sports performance.
And is it just the legs, or does it, like as a golfer, how would this
baseball.
be?
Yeah,
set up?
baseball. So all rotational sports is great for. So if she can turn around,
Golf.
and as she moves the tail from left to right, like she's swinging a tennis racket,
Okay.
this band right here lengthens, and this one gets shortened. So as she rotates, it adds overspeed to the hips. The vertical bands on the side actually when you lift your leg up, you feel the resistance going down.
Yeah.
But also as you lift this leg up in the front, the band lengthens
This way.
to the front
yeah.
side. So now you're
yeah,
forcing
yeah.
the recovery position
Right.
and the attack position.
Gotcha.
Can you add more of these to it? Or
Actually, we can, because there's 2 different resistance levels. These are actually 30 pounds, and there's a 40 pound that you can switch out. So people who have dysfunction, say you're coming back from a knee injury, and you can't really handle 30 pounds of resistance or 20 pounds of resistance, we can adjust that resistance point on that side.
interesting. I feel
All
like
right,
I'm
so
working out my ass.
let's say that you're working with Marie and I. We're injured athletes, which is not too big of a stretch to imagine on this side of you. What would you have me do with this contraption to try to rehab?
Well, first I would, again, this is a gait trainer. So it strengthens your hips and it actually gets you more aware of your gait. Now, all of us don't know what our gait is, but how we walk in space is our gait. We just start with walking.
Okay.
You know, I have little hurdles that we step over, and I want to see how that person's foot contacts the ground, and I want to see how they move their hips. See, like how you see her step down and she stepped down with her toe?
Oh.
Exactly. I look
do.
at that moment, that moment of contact, and I say, all right, let's dorsiflex the foot.
Okay.
So now when she steps down, she actually moves on top of her contact as opposed to reaching for the ground, hoping it's going to be there.
So you would correct
Yes.
the motion and then have them do that repetitively?
And the unit strengthens the function.
It really targets exactly what you need.
What we wanted to do was improve upon training, but reduce the amount of training time. So instead of going to have to walk for an hour, now we knock it down to 30 minutes, but now you targeted those muscles that you thought you were targeting when you were walking.
Love that.
That's great. Anything
time.
that speeds up things.
Exactly. I mean, we're ready-made, let's go, fast-paced type.
Microwave generation.
Exactly. Well, not every microwave is made the same.
That's true. And you spent a lot of time. It's obvious. It's very well made. You spent a lot of time inventing this, and I can tell. I talked to a lot of inventors. There's always a story, and I want to hear the story about how you came up with this. And so when we come back, you don't want to miss it. We'll learn the inspiration behind Rephel's invention and some of the physiological benefits of devices just like these. Don't go away. We're back with athlete and inventor Rephel Martin. Now, Rephel, I have to ask you, that was a great experience having the device on, the Kinetic Link. What was your inspiration to invent that?
I had a young athlete that got injured. Her name is Kimberly Wilson.
Yeah.
She tore a labor in her hip, had nerve damage, kind of similar to what took Bo Jackson out of football and baseball.
Really?
And I couldn't find anything that could help her get back to being the athlete she was and or being a better athlete after that. So I literally sat down on a piece of paper, kind of doodled around, tried to figure out what caused him not to come back. And I doodled enough to come up with this idea. So by nature, I'm a problem solver. Because as coaches, that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to create the best athletes in the human form, and we have to solve the problem, which is them, or the equation that is them, to get them beyond these points. So she was a great kid. At the time she was a kid, she was a college athlete. And I wanted her to have the same opportunity she had prior to the injury. So it led me to do, what I do best, is solve problems and be an artist.
That gives athletes so much trust, and more than just a coach, but as a person, as a mentor, that has to mean something, I'm sure.
Oh, she had to trust me a lot.
Yes.
The early iterations of this process were not pretty. They were not
Coach,
easy.
is this gonna work?
Yeah, a
Do
lot
I
of
have to wear this in public?
Well, it was funny enough. So when she had the injury, the problem now became that she couldn't walk to class normally. Because she couldn't pick her foot up. So she would drag her foot, similar to like someone who had a stroke or had a leg injury that had drop foot. So what I did was I called her to the office, and we actually put a band from her hip down to her ankle. And she's like, Coach, I got to walk to class like this? And I was just like, well, let's put it under your sweatpants so nobody can see it. So at the end of the day, came back to class. She's like, it was great. Nobody knew that I had it under my pants leg. So it kind of hid what was really going on, and then it just started to snowball from there.
It has a lot of physiological benefits. Unpack for me what the Kinetic Link does physiologically.
So physiologically, it connects segments. So as we move, we become disjointed. We don't think about how we're walking. We don't think about how we place our feet. We don't understand where our hips are unless something tragic happens where you trip over a curb and then, your brain says, okay, let's not fall, and it kicks into action. So with the harness, what it does is connect those segments together and teaches you how to function, because now you have to be present when you have the harness on. You have to actually put your foot where you thought you put it. You actually have to understand where your hips are in relationship to your foot, and you have to stay connected to what you're actually doing. Yeah.
So as a track coach, you invented this. Did
Yes.
other athletic departments come to you after they saw the progress that you made with one student or one athlete?
Well, it wasn't just one. So that summer,
Really?
when she finally got released from the trainer to actually train, it was actually 3 athletes that literally committed that summer to actually training and getting the work in. So again, she got poked in the back a lot. The other athletes got poked in the back a lot. We had to figure out how to make it comfortable, but yet still had to function.
Right.
It did more than what I thought it was doing. So we had 3 young athletes. One also came back from an injury because she had to have a hip surgery. And Kim came back, she had to have also hip surgery. And another athlete who was just a committed athlete that just wanted to train, Coach, I want to get better. And those 3 athletes, both the next year, all PR'd. Kim came back, she improved by 1.5 feet and qualified for her first U.S. championships. Asia, she dropped from 12.2 to 11.6. And Lamar Shakir, he also improved in the 400 hurdles and qualified for his first regional championship. So then I was like, is
We
this
got
thing
something
really
here.
doing what I think it's doing?
Yeah.
Yeah, so the next steps were, asking, biomechanists or labs to help me understand what is actually going on. So we actually put it, East Carolina Biomechanical Department actually was the only one that was willing to take it, because again, you have a product that nobody's familiar with. They
Yes.
don't want to touch it.
Yeah.
So
But
they
you
did
have
the
proof.
studies. Yeah,
You
exactly.
have the proof now.
So now I know what it actually does in the body. Yeah.
That's incredible. You've had incredible success, but I'm sure you had some pushback. What was some of that?
The pushback with any situation where you're bringing something that hasn't existed in the world to where you have to convince people that it actually does and take the risk of trying it is one of the things. Two, how it looks. It looks like bulky and gaudy, like how you felt.
Yeah.
But as soon as you put it on, something happens in the brain and something happens to the body where they're finally connected.
Yeah.
And you understand, and people just start smiling. Old athletes just take off running. New athletes are getting this greater sense of awareness, but they can't quite put their finger on it. But after about 3 or 4 minutes, it's just like it's a part of them.
Marie, you work with a lot of clients trying to better their fitness. How many of them are actually using
Contraptions?
devices like that, or just using machines that
You know, I find those that aren't really athletes off the bat, those that are coming in and working out at an older age, those contraptions or machines work better for them, just to guide weight safely. Contraptions can target certain aspects, like you were saying, certain parts of the body. So whatever they're wanting to work on, it's just safer, I think, for a lot of people. Free weights, what traditionally that we do, more for, the weightlifters, the bodybuilders, but these new things that come in, they're interesting, they're fun, they target, they're safe on the joints. Yeah, I think it's all around a great invention that you have going. It fits so well in the athletic community.
Yeah. So what's your hopes and dreams with the Kinetic Link? Where do you hope it goes?
My hope was initially to solve one problem, but then I learned it can help a lot of problems. Dysfunction, people coming back from strokes, people coming back from car injuries, athletes as well as the elderly, military vets are coming back from injury, whether they're coming back from the amputation, whether they're coming back from a movement dysfunction. It didn't just solve one problem,
Yeah.
but it's solving a lot of problems,
Yeah.
So
That's great.
That's amazing. It's almost a classic story where you're trying to help one case and other people from the outside see all the solutions. I want to talk to you a little bit more as we come back in the next segment about your experiences being an inventor, and especially an inventor as a person of color. It has its own unique sets of challenges. After our break, we'll get to know Rephel Martin a little more and learn about his history and his mantras for success, so don't go away. We're back with athlete and inventor Rephel Martin. Now, Rephel, you have some mantras for success. What is a mantra that keeps you going as an entrepreneur?
resilience. In order to be an entrepreneur, you have to be resilient.
Yeah.
A lot of that came from my upbringing, but also what I learned from sports. I mean, having my own injuries as well.
Yeah.
In the pursuit of being an elite athlete, an elite track and field collegiate athlete, resilience is the #1 key to moving forward as an entrepreneur.
How do you define resilience? Because I've used that word with a lot of people I work with. How do you define it?
Facing adversity. I mean, this is not going to be an easy road. I mean, especially when you're inventing something that hasn't existed and you're trying to bring it to the masses and they look at you like you're crazy.
Yeah,
But
I'm not putting that on.
Yeah, but funny enough, the people who are so like dead set on not putting it on, once they put it on, they don't want to take it off.
Really?
So that's helped me in this process and in this journey of getting more athletes, more elderly people, more trainers to use the unit.
Yeah.
Did you ever get in your head thinking, someone I'm sure has already done something like this, or I'm sure this is, sitting in a gym somewhere and someone's already, using it?
Well, I didn't, because I did so much research
that,
to find
see?
a product that was doing what mine was doing. I went to college, and I tell kids all the time, I didn't go to college to get an education. I went to college to be a track athlete. I got an education because I was a track athlete. So because I got that education and I majored in history, I learned how to research. So in learning how to research, I delve into every aspect of what I could to find a unit that did what this one does to help people. So I couldn't find anything.
Nice.
So then I, had to figure out how to make this thing work. So the only, I can't say an issue, but one of the things you go through as an inventor is your dreams exceed your know-how until you know how.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't know what screw does this. I don't know what bolt does that. Oh, what's a weld nut?
Figure
All
it
these little
out.
things. Like, I go to Home Depot and I'm looking for this thing, and they're like, "What are you trying to do?" Well,
Kinetic Link. Have you heard of it? Yeah.
Yeah. So, like I said, your dreams exceed your know-how until you know how, and that's the thing.
I love that. Now, I imagine as an inventor, you face some other obstacles in trying to bring this to market. What's your experience been like in that area?
Well, I'm originally from New Jersey, and I tended not to try to look at it as a racial thing, but sometimes it is. In these next phases of developing the unit and having to get pieces manufactured, and going to welders and giving them my pieces and talking to them exactly how I wanted things done, and they have my pieces for like 3 weeks, and I literally had one guy tell me, "Oh, I didn't think you were serious."
Wow.
So in facing those things, it's like, well, you go to another welder and it doesn't seem quite interested. Or like I applied for a grant. The FedEx has a grant for small businesses to apply for. This is about 3 years ago.
Yeah.
And I went to, with no less than 10 times in Savannah, to every rehab facility I possibly could. My photographer just happened to be white. On the last go around, the last facility I can go into, I was like, how about we do something different? How about you go in and ask, the gym owner, can we shoot some video? Because we had to shoot some video for the segment. And he said yes. Now, I don't want to believe it was a racial thing, but 10 times out of 10, and the 11th one we go in, then things change. So, but I still have to get it done regardless of what I have to face.
It is a reality we're still facing. I think as a society, there is a large group of people, I don't know if it's the majority or not, but a large group of people who are trying to treat all people with dignity, give everyone the benefit of the doubt, but there are still people and there are still places where that is not the majority of people who are trying to do that. So I hear that. Marie, what have you found in your experience as a person of color? And on top of that, a woman,
Yeah,
a
a
woman. You can't even buy a car and be taken seriously.
I know.
Have you experienced some of the stuff that
I
Rephel's
have.
talking about?
I have. There are some, when I was going to trainers, they wouldn't take me as seriously, I don't know. I've been on television quite a while, and so I don't know, as I've gotten familiar with those around me, they've gotten comfortable. It's been easier to be taken seriously. But I have found in the African American community, it's family. They protect you. So I go to a very diverse gym. So I do feel familiar with that. And so when you see kindness outside of that, you do realize that there are places in the world that are still like that.
I mean, they're good. Inherently, there are good people in the world.
Yeah,
I mean, these are isolated situations with these individuals. When I meet someone, I want them to meet Rephel.
Yeah.
Not see me for African American Rephel. And sometimes you can see that connection and alteration in their mentality to say, okay, he's not or she's not who I thought she may be. Yeah. So that's what I lean on most of the time. So
yeah, we're living in a really unique time where even the people who are trying to help in race relations still base their solutions on skin color. We need someone of this color or this gender, or we're interested in publishing books and materials only if you're this race, this gender, or have this view of LGBTQ plus or whatever. And we're in a place where it seems like I tell people there are those who are trying to take a folded sheet of paper and lay it flat. And in order to do so, many people think you have to fold it all the way over the other way in order for it then to lay flat. And the challenge is living through those moments of the folding of the paper, one extreme or the other. But I'm so delighted to be able to meet you because as an individual, as a human being, you're looking for how can I overcome obstacles in the face of the realities of people still will base an instant first impression off of the color of your skin and off of your gender. And so I applaud your courage. What legacy do you hope to leave and with the people who are engaging with you as a person and also as an inventor? What do you hope people come away with?
Ultimately, I'm 46 years old. You know, I've experienced.
You're looking great.
Yeah.
46, man.
I experienced a lot in my 46 years, and I've learned. I was fortunate enough to have my jersey retired at the University. I went to University of Charlotte, North Carolina, Charlotte, and I realized that it wasn't about me at that moment.
Yeah.
You know.
But what an honor.
Yeah. It was.
Yeah.
I worked hard. I did everything my coach told me to do to the best of my ability, and that's what you do as an athlete.
Yeah.
But I realized all my successes wasn't about me. It was about those who were looking up to see what I did. So in this understanding of, starting a business, getting into a patent and moving forward in this process, I kind of want to speak to the kid that was me at that age who didn't see a better way. But, fortunately enough, I had really good coaches growing up that put me in situations that I would have not been able to put myself in. So now at 46, I'm kind of moving forward to help those kids that may look at me or have a conversation with me or see me on a video doing drills or on a show like this to where, you can actually talk about these things. So I didn't know what was a possibility until I actually had to see it and feel it for myself.
Yeah, well, you're an inventor, you're a mentor, you're a coach, you're a model, and definitely you're an inspiration to all of us and to our viewers. So thank you so much for being with us. Don't go away, we got to take a break, but when we come back, I have my final thoughts. Are you stuck or are you placed? If you view the environment in which you are currently living in as a place where you are stuck, you will miss all the opportunities around you. On the other hand, if you see the environment as a location in which you have been placed, you will rock that world. Why? Because once you understand that you have been placed in your precise community, time and situation with your body, your race, your looks, and your skills, once you let that sink in, you will realize that you are the change agent that God has placed in your environment. So don't let the thoughts in your head get you stuck. You are placed right where you are today to help other people live their best life possible.
For more meaningful life tips and an opportunity to view this show and all other episodes, visit our website at lifestyle.org. Thanks for watching, and we look forward to continuing this journey with you on future episodes of Lifestyle Magazine.